Welcome back to the O Hockey Show, and today we are talking about some losers, some idiots that run these NHL teams. These guys, these old guys that have been working their whole careers and have been hired for these jobs to bring their services to make a path for the best futures for their teams that they've been hired for. And somehow we as fans who have no experience and no real any credentials know how ridiculously stupid that they are and what they've done. So let's start out with the biggest idiot of them all is Mike Grier of the San Jose Sharks. Rookie GM Mike Grier. Literally the worst. So, you have your superstar RFA, 26-year-old impact in his prime, about to be in the prime of his career, Timo freaking Meier, who's going to be a 40-plus goal scorer, I would believe, starting this year and going onwards. And you RFA, did I mention that already? And you've got all the cards, and you trade him to the New Jersey Devils for nothing. For absolutely nothing. The Devils, a team who have great young guys like Dawson Mercer, Alexander Holtz, Nemec. They have the list goes on and on and on, but those are the ones I would think are most tradable at this point. You don't get any of them. You get some Shakur Megadum guy. You get some guy Okoyochuk, or however you say his name, and a first-round pick that is almost ridiculous. That almost I think doesn't exist. Right? It's got a stupid condition on it. What are you doing? You hold all the cards and you throw them out the door. Mike Grier needs to be fired immediately. He has shown since the day he's been hired that he don't know what he's doing. The trade earlier, this seems like a nothing trade, of course, right? But he trades away Ryan Merkley. For most people, that means nothing. For me, it really means nothing. But at the same time, it is the little things that matter. And he trades away, I think he's around 22 at this point, right? Far from being probably a superstar. He's a very make it or break it kind of guy. He's either going to be a superstar or probably stuck in the AHL for his career. But you've got this young guy, right, that you could trade, that you can try to grow, and maybe by the time he's good, the team's finally on the right path, right? You trade him and Matt Nieto to the Colorado Avalanche for a guy in Martin Kaut, for a guy who is on the best team that has ever been put together with the best of best players in Makar and McKinnon and Rantanen. And this guy can't get anything done there. So you think he's going to make your team better here in San Jose. Well, not here in San Jose, but in San Jose. What an idiot. Mike Grier needs to be fired. End of statement. Moving on to the Chicago Blackhawks. I know it's not your fault for trading Kane, right? It isn't your fault. I'm sure he wants out, but overall, you're horribly run. But still, you trade Kane away for merely a second-round pick that could turn into a first. But still, this is the icon, the legend, Patrick Kane, and you don't get anything for him at all. At all. And your future's already so dim. But I hope for Connor Bedard's sake that he doesn't end up on your team, because he's going to have nothing to play with. Absolutely nothing to play with, and it's going to be a very rough start to his career. And then, that's really the end of statement there. I could go on about how bad the Blackhawks are in general, but for this trade deadline, it's not your fault you only got a second for Kane, but still, you're bad. The Arizona Coyotes. This franchise is so idiotic. It is unbelievable. This team, you have Jacob Chikrin for 2 years now. He's asked for a trade, I guess depending how you view it, but 2 seasons, a year, whatever. This guy, your star young defenseman's asking for a trade, and your team's nowhere near good, so it's not like he needs to be on this team. So you hold out last year, don't trade him away, and waiting for the best return possible, right? Makes sense. Your team, you're finally getting some good prospects together in Cooley, Lamoureux. I don't know why I can't think of the last guy's name now. You have Gunther. You got some good guys coming up the wings. You got Soderstrom in the back now. You have Hayton. So Chikrin right now, his needs aren't really there, and you can keep adding more picks or some young prospects. So you've got this guy who led defenseman in goals in 2020-21 season. This superstar defenseman, you trade him away for a first-round pick and a second-round pick. And the way it's organized, you might not even get a first-round pick out of it, maybe. You get no young guys. You get no prospects at all. And barely a first-round pick for Jacob Chikrin for a year waiting. There wasn't a better trade out there. Absolutely ridiculous by the Coyotes. A core guy with a good contract for good term, and you get rid of him. But not only that, it doesn't end there, folks. This team, this ridiculous organization, trades away their other best asset in Shane Gostisbehere, whose contract's ending this year. He can light the world on fire, and he did against them last night against the Coyotes the day after he got traded to the Carolina Hurricanes for bare minimum. Wasn't it a third or a fifth round pick? Either or. This guy already scoring goals against his former team for nothing. For absolutely nothing. This team, there's a reason why. The people who criticize Arizona for being awful and that they need to be moved, it isn't freaking the state of Arizona that's the problem. It's not that there's sand and there's not cold here. It's not because it's hot. Look at freaking Vegas. It's hot there. It has nothing to do with heat. Look at Tampa Bay. Probably the best team that's ever existed. And it's not. It's freaking beach weather. It's a swamp. So it's not the state, it's not the people, it's the people in charge of this stupid company called the Arizona Coyotes that don't know what the hell they are doing over there is the problem. It's not because of the state of Arizona. The state of Arizona has produced 3 of the best players in the world right now in Tage Thompson, Couturier, and of course Austin freaking Matthews. But no, you have to move them because that's going to help. It doesn't help when management is awful. Moving on to the Anaheim Ducks, who didn't do anything. They have a few good assets, and their time... The problem with the team like the Devils has always been that they've been bringing on these young guys, but they haven't had anyone to help them produce. That's why the Kings are so good right now, because they actually did have those guys in Kopitar and Dustin Brown and Drew Doughty actually helping the young guys grow and develop. The problem with the Devils is that they didn't have any of that. They didn't have the older generation to help the young guys like Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier. They had to slowly develop. So the Kings are getting a boost. Those young guys getting help out from the veterans there. And the Anaheim Ducks, they're kind of getting out of that era now. Zegras is coming into his own. McTavish already is developing on his own, and he's playing with Zegras. Jamie Drysdale, defense, you do have Cam Fowler to stick back there still. But with John Klingberg, Kevin Shattenkirk, especially Adam Henrique, you have a couple really good assets that you can move away. Now, you move out Klingberg and you move out Kulikov, right? Which, good idea to move them out. Problem, though, you move out John Klingberg, $7 million contract for 1 year, perfect rental. The only reason you signed the guy was for the reason to flip him at the trade deadline, and you get a second-round pick for it. What the hell are you doing? That is nothing for a guy like Klingberg, and you trade him to Minnesota, a team that desperately, not desperately, but really could use a quarterback defenseman on the power play, and you trade him away for only a second-round pick. There wasn't a better option out there anywhere. Like, for a second-round pick, you might as well just hang on to him and let him leave in the offseason or something. I mean, I guess not really, but you know what I mean. And other than that, they don't do... I mean, Kulikov's trade, they bring in Brock McGinn, which is just so they can make the trade, and a third-round pick, right? Wasn't it? A third or a second? It was a third. Once again, like, what are you doing? And then Adam Henrique goes for nothing. Now, maybe there wasn't any buyers out there, but I'm sure there's a team out there somewhere that was looking for a solid second-line centerman. And especially a guy like Henrique, who's shown that he can still develop and produce. And I think he would pretty good in the playoffs, I think. He seems like a playoff type of player. And, so Ducks didn't do anything. Didn't get anything done. And I don't care what you say, but the Detroit Red Wings, Stevie, his moves with Hronek and Verana and, what was the last one? Rasmussen? No, Sundqvist at the end. What was the point of all of that? What is the point? People defending him for the trades he made don't make any. The arguments for the reason they were good make no sense to me. People complain about Hronek is actually not that good. He leads your defenseman in points. Why would you complain about? Okay, so you're telling me if you have a defenseman, right? Let's say we take a guy, let's say it's not Bobby Orr, but it's Brock Orr. I don't know. You take Brock Orr and he gets 100 points a season, but the problem is he plays no defense. The thing is, though, when he's on the ice, the puck isn't in his own zone and he's just scoring points, which I know isn't what Hronek does, but still, God, Detroit fans or people saying that Hronek isn't that good, basically the way I say it is that Hronek was a screwdriver meant to screw in screws, right? He's a screwdriver. He's meant to get points. He's not a defensive defenseman back there. He's not a hammer. You know what I mean? He's good at his role. His role is to make points, and he does it well. And a team like Detroit, is coming into their own and starting to get into the playoff runs, and I think probably could make the playoffs next year, if not this year at right now still. Hronek is a vital piece to it. He's the main defenseman this year. And I know Seider probably would take back his role next year, but still, it stands that he's still phenomenal at scoring points, and you trade him away. It doesn't make any sense to me for some draft picks, and there people are saying like, oh, we're loading up on draft picks, which yes, I guess you did bring in a lot of picks this year, but still, what is the use of a draft pick when you already have a good defenseman? You already have the good defenseman. It doesn't make any sense to me. No sense in the world. Moving on to the Kraken, who did nothing. What are you doing? Wasn't your whole thing that you have cap space and you can use it? Well, use it. What? You couldn't have brought in a guy like Max Domi. You couldn't have brought in. You could have gone out there for Kane, which I know he probably wouldn't have accepted a trade for it. But like a Tarasenko, like you didn't do anything. Like nothing. You didn't do anything. You didn't do one thing to help your team out. Just strange. Are you alive? I don't know. And then, unfortunately, Jonathan Quick, which is not his own fault. It is sad to see him just get treated this way. It kind of reminds me of the Rangers when they took Henrik Lundqvist his last playoff run, and they didn't put him in the net once or something like that, or they didn't give him the starting role for the game that they were most likely going to get kicked out of, and they knew it was going to be his last game ever. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Like Jonathan Quick on a playoff-ready team who's going to make the playoffs, and they trade him away to Columbus, Ohio, the Blue Jackets, to do nothing and waste the rest of his career. But thankfully, the Golden Knights have picked him up, and he's going to go on his revenge tour in the second round. I'm calling it. So that is all I have to say about the losers of the trade deadline. I know this is kind of rambly, but I also don't really know how else to do this type of video. My winners video was a lot better than this one, but that's because there's actual substance to talk about. This is more just trashing on teams that are already bad because they're losers. So that is all I have to say. So thank you all out there for one. I'm sure no one's watching this who actually did it, but thank you for getting me to 100 subscribers. Of all winners, I've won the most, I guess, through the NHL trade deadline. Without it, I wouldn't be here, and without you, I wouldn't be at 101 now. So thank you for watching this. Please pick up your free subscription. We're on the road to 200 now. We're 99 away. Help me out there, and thank you for watching this. Too sweet. I hope you're having an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.